let's get him apart and see what he's like inside. So I just bend him out slightly and just straighten the tag a little bit so that he slips together okay. Okay, so we've got two tags here at the top. Don't know whether we can get at the second one there. Yeah. It's a little bit rusty there, so that's also what we've got to work out, what's happening. Okay, can we get him undone? Yes. And there he is, peoples. He looks very clean, very nice inside, actually. So we'll give him a little bit of lube, a little bit of a clean up with some methylated spirits around the outside of him. And just on the back here a little bit, and there's a little bit of rust here that we'll just put over the wire wheel just to take off just that little bit. But otherwise, not too bad. Right, let's test him out. One either side of the pot, and we've got 2.3. Rather odd, isn't it? 2.3 on a 1 meg pot. Anyway, we'll see how all this goes. Now, we're around one side, 2.3, 19, 1 point. Okay, we're coming down and right down to the bottom end, which is 41 ohm, measuring 2 meg, which is a little bit odd, but I'm sure this pot is going to be okay. Okay, let's get the back on him. Now, to make it easier, when we go in, we'll just get a bit of solder out of the middle one there, and that way our pot's ready to put back in. Now, what we're doing here is our black wire, our actual output, demodulated output from the IF transformer to the volume control. So I want to get him through the hot end of our volume pot. Now there's a resistor got to go on there as well. So I'm just leaving, I'm not soldering him at the moment. This resistor here, which is a bit of a mess in itself. Let's have a look at the circuit. Okay, the volume pot, we're coming from the IF20 to the volume pot. Now, that resistor there, R2, goes over to C9 and up to the first IF transformer. So R2, if we have a look, joins the same place as the hot end of our volume control, which is down there. That's our wiper. This one is our hot end. And this resistor in question is this resistor here. Now R2, as you probably be able to see, is 6.3 meg. 6.3 megohm. R2. Now, if I have a look here, I don't know what we've got here. We might have a 6 meg resistor. I'll just check this. If we have, that's no worries. We'll just tidy this one up and tidy this great big blob of solder here up, and we'll keep using that resistor, providing there's nothing wrong with him. Get on that side without obstructing the camera. And 6.99, 7 meg. So that's fine. We'll leave that resistor in there, and yeah, we'll just clean things up here a little bit. But he goes onto the hot side of the volume control. Volume potentiometer. Okay, it's the next day and on with the show. I've taken a capacitor out of in the centre here just for the moment to give us a little bit of room, and disconnected these fellas. I've taken photos of where everything goes. Now, we had a wire, which is this horrible looking black piece of wire that goes from the second IF transformer, it's the first IF transformer, across here to this fella here. Now, I'm just going to replace that, and it looks like this red wire here, this is terrible. From the switch, I don't know what's in here. I don't know whether it's joins or what it is. But anyway, new piece of red wire there. This is the B plus line. So that piece of red, this one, and this one all go to the capacitor, actually, the 22 microfarad that we'll be fitting in here, which is on the B plus 67.5 volt line. So let's replace the black wire first, and then these red fellas, and get it a little bit neater. We're getting it cleaner. It's getting a little bit better. Okay, let's do that. Now, what I'm doing here, what I do with the heat gun is heat the wire up a little bit so that I can bend him into place and he stays in place. Obviously not too hot, but he gets nice and pliable, and we can fit the wire in as such where he's got to go. That looks pretty good. We removed the red wire from this fella down in here, which goes to our B plus over here. This resistor, it's one thing after the other. It's a 3.3 meg. Okay, goes from the transformer there, the IF transformer, first IF, back to the valve. Now it's the 1S5. Now it's easier for me to show you on the circuit, pin 4. So if we count, we go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pin 4 of the 1S5, 1, 2, 3, and 4, is this line here. The capacitor is this one here. It's a 0.005. And the resistor in question is this fella, which is 4 meg. Now, the guy, whoever has done this before me, has put in a very dodgy looking 3.3 meg. 3.3 isn't 4. So I was going to put a 3.9, and oh my God, in my workshop I found some brand new, I don't like these type of resistors, but brand new 4 meg resistor. Checked it on the meter, 4.0 meg. Unbelievable. So this fella is going in place of that. A 3.9 would have been okay in there, but not a 3.3. So, yeah, the guy obviously didn't have a 4 meg or 3.9 meg resistor. Now, at the same point, I lifted this resistor up, which is a 1 meg, which goes across to here. Now, this fellow, if we have another look at our diagram, is this fella here, 1 meg, R7. Displays 1 meg. That's not a problem. But I thought, well, just out of curiosity, I'll put the meter across him. So we go to that side, this side, and there you go, 2.3, 2.35, and that's a 1 meg resistor. So just as well we go through this thing and check every resistor. So I'm going to replace these 2 resistors and then put in this red wire. Boy, it's one thing after another with this fella, isn't it? Let's round up some resistors and get them in there. Well, this is a good one, fellas. Put some spaghetti over where you've burnt the hell out of the insulation of the wires. Yeah, that's a good idea rather than replace the wire. Now the battery cables. I've taken this fella out. Pretty substantial battery cable. Don't think we need that big. It's the wrong end, wrong fitting for it anyway for the battery. So we're going to replace the red and the black wires. I'm pretty sure the black wire, yes, he goes to a tag strip over here with a couple of resistors on him. So we'll do that. And the red wire, these are also fed in through here and was causing the tuning gang to hit them. So we'll get this red wire off now and replace him with something a little bit better and reroute the cabling. Very heavy cable. And yeah, the battery connector is, well, it's a standard 9-volt fitting, but yeah, that's not the original. I don't know how we're going to go with the original yet, so we may use clips like this, but certainly not using something like that. Okay, we'll get some red and black. Now, just another note while we're doing this, my cables. I don't want to use new cable all the time. Old computer power supplies, fantastic for a bit of hookup wire. About the right size for most of our rebuild projects like this one. Just chop the plugs off and you've got yourself, 30 centimetres of good red, black and yellow wire. So yeah, it's a good thing to have laying around the workshop. And just a bit of a tip for you is there, rather than, well, we don't want to buy new stuff all the time on something like this. Right, guys, now what I've done here, I've got my 2 power wires in from up here, and one comes across. Now, since it comes across to here, since I stopped the camera, I've put in this little tag strip. I've also put the earth of the volume pot down onto the earth of this. Now, this was a horrible big thing here in the corner. What we need from the battery to ground is an 800 ohm resistor. Now, which is this fella here. So he's going from the negative of the battery, it's 800 ohm to ground, and then that's your grid voltage up here, and yeah, that's where he runs. So okay, so that's the negative, and that gives us our bias on the grid up here. So all right, 800 ohms. I have found an 820 ohm. So that's what we'll put in between here and ground, and that gets our biasing taken care of, and a little bit neater here in the corner. Okay, so what I've done now is I've put my 2.2 meg resistor in, as you know. I've also connected between the end of him and over to pin 3 of our 1S5. So here we are. This is the 2.5 meg or 2.2 that we've got in there. R8 goes up to pin 3. Sorry, I said 1S5. It's the 3S4. So it's the output tube, and that's your biasing for your grid. Right, guys, we've gone probably as far as I want to with this at the moment, because what I want to do now is mount our electrolytic capacitor, our main B plus cap, the 22 mic, into there. Now, I will flick to the next video because we've done something with him. So before I go any further with checking anything here, while I can still get at this area here before renewing our caps, I want to get the electrolytic in there. So we'll go on to the next bit of putting the electrolytic in, and then we might call this video quits for part 3, I think it is. And the next part will be replacing the caps, positioning, and probably even getting to a stage where we see whether this little baby is going to work. So the next bit, let's do something with this cap. Well, guys, I've decided to rebuild this cap. Got a little bit of cleaning out in here to do. Now, what I've done is I've pulled an old cap apart and took the terminals off the end of him. I only want to use one terminal as the main mount underneath this. It'll be to one side a little bit, but I'll try and centre it the best I can. And that will be what the B plus connects to for the rest of the radio. It's only one wire connecting to it, not everything hanging off it like it was. So I've got my terminals, taken them out of that fella, which is, as I said, the end of another electro. A little bit too big to fit into here at the moment, but going to trim him up, either trim or I'll use my hole punch to punch him down to the right size, which is exactly 20 mil. Once these go in through the rubber, I'm going to bolt them on a very small bolt to put the tags on. There'll be another tag on this side, which I can use this fellow probably, that will go down, and I'm going to use some Veriboard to solder on the underneath side of that, and the Veriboard will also hold our cap at the correct distance. So I did have some rubber here. I'm not going to use that now that I've found this fella. So that's the theory. This was also off an old capacitor, and strangely enough, he fits in. So there's our mount. He will mount up and look very original once this is done. And just for cosmetics, I've got some clear heat shrink. Now I'd like to keep this protected a bit. So we're going to spear the heatsink over him, and I'll also want to put the date of the repack on the back. So I'll be typing that out and putting him in, and that can go underneath as well. So the next person that gets this radio, or me or whoever, will know when this was repacked, but that will be only very small writing around the back of the cap. The cap, as I said, 22 at 350. So that's what we're going to do. There's the overall project. Okay, so we'll get on with it and just take bits and pieces. I'll record bits and pieces of it for you and show you what I'm doing. Okay, now I've used my little lathe, as you saw. One day I might save up for a lathe. It'd be pretty handy. Anyway, we got the job done with a cordless drill. How good's that? Now there's our bottom tag. Okay, we'll position the tag, whatever's convenient, but probably there. Now, I'll bring the negative lead out on a black insulated wire that will just go to ground straight from the cap. I'm not putting two tags in this, only the one in the center. Now the other tag, which will mount onto our Veriboard, goes on there. I do have a star washer on him as well. Now, everyone has different ways of doing this. I'm going to bend the inside fella over, like so. And if you get the picture, this will mount on there. Inside, the cap will mount. I've got to cut this to size yet, so we won't get too excited yet. Now, screw this up. And try and keep it all in line. That's pretty good. I wasn't going to go this far with this fella, but I thought, why not? Now, that's our tag at the bottom. Mounts in like so. And that will be quite acceptable. I will keep these holes open as, well, one will have the black negative wire coming out, the other one open for ventilation anyway, in case this little cap ever decides to let go. Now, that piece up the top there looks to be about the right size, and I'll cut the variable board off just there so that it's only on the mount, which goes inside here. Now, around here, probably once he goes in, some super glue will hold it. We may just tap the edges of the aluminium over just to make sure this doesn't come out. And then the heat shrink will hold the whole thing in anyway. Okay, we'll cut this filler off. Okay, now before we finish this part of the video, I think we should mount our cap. Put a little screw in. He's all ready to mount. So what I've done in here, I'll turn this fella over and give you a look. The cap's going in there. Now I've drilled a hole here for one of the mounts, which goes on like so. I'll just get that fellow out of the road there. Okay, so he goes in like so on that side, but this side there's very, very little room there to drill a hole, and I'll just get these fellas out of the road. So, where's my pointer? Okay, so we've drilled this hole, and the other hole is just there. It's too close to the edge to drill a hole, so we're just going to clean this up and tin him with solder. So we'll have a little nut and bolt on that side and clean up one of these fellas and tin him. Now also, when we're putting in this little fella here, put the screw around. I'm not going to cut him off, it's not fouling, but we will put him in this way around. So our screw is over here. If it goes over here, it could foul the bottom of the speaker, and I want this area open as much as possible. So let's put this little fellow in. Here onto this ground right here. Just tucks the lead away out of the road. And we'll sit him in there. That's the ground of the cap taken care of. Now, this terminal here, I'm going from the positive of our main filter cap across to here, across to this one, and then on the bottom of him, I will join these two, which are both our HT wires. So there'll only be one wire connected to the cap to here. That's our HT wires taken care of. We'll just tuck them away a little bit here. Okay, so still looks a little bit of a mess in there, but certainly a lot better than what it looked. Our cap is nice and neat and out of the way. Right. There we go. Nice and tight, secure. Soldered that end, screwed in at that end. So we'll stop the video for now because it's getting lengthy. The next one will, as I've said before, replace all the caps. We've got a couple of resistors here only to check. I will also check the continuity of the IF cans to make sure everything is okay. But mostly caps next time. And we've also got to work out how we're going to switch this little fella down the track. But anyway, that's where we're up to at the moment. So if you want to follow me, please subscribe. It really helps. And give us a thumbs up if you like the video. If comments are very welcome. If any of you guys out there are doing these radios and you've got one the same as this, give us some comments. Maybe you've got ideas that that are different to mine. So yeah, we all do things differently. So yeah, all right. Until next time, and on the next video, which won't be that long because I want to keep working on this little fella. But until the next video on this little fella, from me, it's bye for now.